Hello everyone, welcome back to What a Rush. Today, we've got this rush to talk about, and that is this Toursor X5 scooter. I've had it for 3 months now, put 3,000 kilometers on it, so I figured I'd do a little updated review, walk you through some of the things that I like and that I don't like about it. So, this scooter has basically replaced my car in every situation, and it has just been so much fun. It has been very versatile. So let's start off with some of the specs. The scooter is equipped with a dual motor front and back with 3,000 watts each, equaling to a peak performance of 6,000 watts. And this scooter is a 60 volt system, which is, when fully charged, reading around 67.2. The battery, which is enormous, and it is inside the deck, you're pretty much just standing on it, is 40 watt hours. And it's advertised as Panasonic lithium cells, which are the 21,700 variation. So I expect the battery to run really good, and it really has been running really good. I so far don't feel like it has degraded at all in performance, and I'm still getting the same range that I used to get when I unboxed it. I just know how questionable some of those batteries are from these scooters that come from overseas. So the 6,000 watts will get you to a maximum speed of around 55 miles an hour, depending on how heavy you are, how much tailwind you got, headwind you got, what kind of slope you're working with. Those are all important factors. So I'm about 6 foot, a little bit taller than that, so with about 170 pounds, and I can reach, the maximum speed I've reached so far was 94 kilometers an hour, and it was a slight downhill without any wind really. And I've read of other people reaching 113 kilometers an hour, which is just absolutely insane, I believe. So how does it feel riding at that speed? I have to say, it's actually pretty good. The scooter comes equipped with a dual suspension, front and back, which I'll show you the back one here first. As you can see, it's a spring suspension, and you can also adjust it to make it firm or a little bit looser. And you really don't have to worry about any bumps and any faults in the road. You can pretty much handle whatever you throw at it. And I really appreciate that the wheels do not bottom out on the scooter somehow, you know. I was worried that it would be the case on this back fender here, but it turns out it's actually fully mounted to the wheel, so it moves just with it. And the scooter is equipped with 10-inch tubeless tires, which I'm not running the original ones that came with this scooter at the moment. The ones I've got are like an off-road street hybrid, which they are very useful for my riding situation here, since I'm mostly on the road with an occasional trail. But I really don't want to overdo it on this scooter. I don't want to go crazy on it. Originally it comes with the nubby tires, the really off-road ones. And I really liked them, but I wore those out pretty quick. But they sure made a really cool sound. people were turning their heads everywhere you went. Like, what is that? What's happening? Yeah, cool. So these are tubeless tires, which they're very nice because they're in a way low maintenance. You don't have to worry so much about them going flat. But if they do go flat and you have to replace them, it kind of becomes a challenge to properly take these off and then mount them back onto the rim. What I really appreciate about this scooter is that these motor cables are actually long enough to change the tires without unplugging the motor inside the deck. So they've given you more than enough cable, which I'm actually having to zip tie it into places here just so I can keep it out of the way. And it's also on the back. It's just barely enough so you do not have to unplug it if you're really careful. So I'm really happy and excited about that. The components of the scooter, they're rigid. I believe they're just cast aluminum for the most part, but it's all metal of some shape or form. Even the back standing deck is solid metal, and it doesn't move at all when you're standing on it, which is very nice. You know how sometimes when you stand on it, they just kind of bend down? It doesn't do that because it's just really nice and solid here. The whole box itself is out of metal, and it's encased for the most part. It has a couple screws down below where you could get a couple drops of water in. And it's got this weird sealant here, which of course you want to keep an eye on that. It's not a scooter you really want to ride if it's raining a lot, just because you could get water inside the deck, and yeah, if it reaches your battery, then you have a slight problem because it basically becomes a huge explosive. So just for safety precautions, you should not be riding this in the rain. And if you do, you should do some additional waterproofing. The scooter does have like a gasket under the deck to keep most of the moisture and water out. But you should probably get something better to put just, down below in here. As you can see, these gaskets are also not that great. You'll probably have to improve that. But it's a solid scooter. I don't ever have to worry about anything breaking. And I had one little mishap with the scooter, and it was covered by a warranty where, I'm not sure if you can see right here. Right there is this weld that connects the front fork to the steering column. And when I received the scooter, it was already a bit weak, and it actually had broken. And it was not a problem at all because I purchased this scooter from Glee Ride, and I contacted customer support. They helped me out right away. It was not a problem to get this part shipped to me for free, which I then just replaced. And I have some friends fixing the other one now, so I'll have extra. So yeah, just kind of something to keep in mind, that the scooter does have weak parts. And but I'm glad I had this experience with the manufacturer and the customer service from the vendor, which sometimes you're just kind of left out on your own once you buy something like this, and it definitely was a concern that I had. Now, I like some of these extra features that the scooter comes with, such as NFC keyless entry. And to get started riding the scooter, you pretty much press the on key, it makes a little sound, and you just tap onto it, and you're pretty much ready to go. It always defaults into the single motor Gear 1 drive, One thing I do not like about this scooter is this LCD brightness is not very bright, so you kind of have a hard time in the sunny daytime like today to see what's going on here. But we have the trip down below, the odometer. It shows you what gear you're in. It shows you the speed, the battery status, and you can toggle through to see the battery voltage, which it's reading 67.2 at the moment. A lot of other scooters, they kind of have this little display, this red one with the number on it. This one does not have it, it's just down in here. So then we have this little control panel right here where you can turn your light on. You can adjust the gears with the plus and minus. You can use this button, the on button, once the scooter is turned on, to toggle between the volume of the battery and the trip and the speedometer. The DS button will activate the double motor on the scooter, which, like I mentioned, it starts off in the single mode when you turn it on. So, and then we've got a nice little horn here. It's very loud. I believe it's just built into the display here somehow. And the scooter also comes with a turning signal left and right, which is activated here with this little knob. So that's very nice. Let me give you a little demonstration. You only get the indicator right here in the back. That's the left. And that's the right, so you get the point. Is anybody gonna see it in the daytime? Probably not. But that's okay. It's better than nothing, I suppose. And the scooter comes equipped with a little thumb throttle here, which I didn't realize I didn't have the kick on. As soon as you press the button, it just wants to go. So there's that. Let's talk a little bit about the lighting modes that we have. It comes equipped with this headlight right here. By default, it goes to the yellow one, and a lot of people are always wondering, is that enough? Does that work? Do I have to get something better? In my personal experience, these have been more than enough right here. You can adjust them for different situations. So we've got this solid yellow, then we've got a solid white, and then it's like a combination of yellow and white, which is very bright at nighttime. This is all you need. It pretty much lights up the path however you need to. And then we also get this cool little strobe, which is nice if you're riding in the daytime to get the attention of other cars and passerbyers. And you can also move these up and down a little bit, so that works nicely. The scooter is equipped also with these little orange ambient light strips, and they look pretty cool at night, I have to say. The scooter is not fancy like some of these other ones out there where you can change the colors with the remote and have all these little light bars and flashy things happening. No, it's just a solid orange light, that's all you get. But it does give you a lot of extra visibility, and it's not in a color that is illegal. Sometimes I'm worried with my other scooter because it's got a blue light on it, and they can kind of look at you funny for that. So, and in the back right here, we've got the tail light, which is in here. I like that it's a solid light structure, and it's built in here, and it does give you a lot of extra light. But you also have this little column right here that you can mount some extra ones on, and I do have some extra ones that I use sometimes at night. The scooter came equipped with a seat, which I do appreciate that. It's not the best seat. It's made out of Chinesium material, you could say. It's already got kind of a bend in it. I have to be cautious. It's really noisy, but I appreciate that it is very easy to take off if I want it gone for a moment. I can just unlatch this here, and then with some hex screws I can pretty much just take it off in a couple quick moves. And I have to say though, I really appreciate it. I like the seat a lot. It makes the riding experience a lot more fun, and it's just turning heads everywhere you go. People are like, what is this thing? How is he passing me? Now what else we got going on? The steering column, people are always wondering, is it loose, is it solid? This one here, I have mixed feelings about it. It is solid as long as you pay attention to it. It's got this whole mechanism kind of just goes up, and then it locks in here with a huge hex nut. And then this steering column kind of just screws onto the whole thing with a couple hex nuts that you see right here. So if you loosen those hex nuts, the whole steering column will just come off. And it's just so important that you make sure that these stay tightened. And you can kind of adjust this one here a little bit to get a little bit more play in your turning strength, I suppose. And you can make it a little bit tighter. And the scooter actually does not need a steering damper, which you can buy one. There's some kind of a structure that goes down like this. Costs $100 on Alibaba. So it's got that going. The steering column has like a two-step mechanism. You slide the red part up and it goes down, and you can pretty much, whoa, that went onto the accelerator. You gotta be cautious, and it's a good reason to have the little kickstart on for situations like this, especially on a powerful scooter. So yeah, this just kind of folds down like this, and no, it does not latch in, so you can pick it up. But I have to be honest with you, unless you missed your gym workout for some reason and you need to catch up on that, this is not a scooter that you're going to pick up anyhow, because it weighs about 55-60 kilos. It's very, very heavy, and there are only just a couple places where you can really pick it up, which is by the seat and up here a spot by the steering column. So it's a bit cumbersome to move around, and it's just barely enough to fold it up and put it in the back of a truck, really, if you want to go somewhere. But it's not the scooter that you're just going to fold up and take on the subway with you and carry down a bunch of stairs or in an apartment. This is something that is here, it's heavy. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. And most of the weight actually comes from the battery. So what else do we have equipped on this scooter? There are a lot of optional things you can get. I got my little riding mascot. I got a couple extra mirrors, which it's good to see the traffic behind you without having to look over your shoulder, so you can keep your eyes on the road. And I've got a little luggage rack, which that's saved me many times already, going grocery shopping or whatnot. But it's just such a great scooter. I'm able to take it on the ferry with me when I go visit my friends. I'm able to go take care of all my errands with this in the city. And I can go to the grocery store and pack a whole, 6-pack, 8-pack of water on there, no problem. And just kind of keep it in between my feet. Not to mention that every time you ride it, it's just such a fun experience. It's such a thrill. It's such a rush every time. It just surprises you. And for the value and the price of this scooter, which I'm not quite sure what they're selling for at the moment, but I got a good deal on it. These retail between, I'd say, $1,100 and $1,400, $1,500, depending on where you're getting it shipped to. So for that price, you get a lot of scooter. You get speed, you get range, you get easy maintenance, and you have a lot of options and ways that you can expand and customize the scooter. So I really like it. It's just really simple. There's not a lot to it. It's just got the two wheels with the motors, the battery that you stand on, and the steering column in the seat. So I feel like they've made this construction as simple and efficient as possible, and they did a pretty good job, I have to say. Other than that weld breaking. But no problem at all. One thing I forgot to mention is that the scooter has dual disc brakes in the front and in the back. These are the Toursor brand. These are not a big nut or whatever brand, but they're good. They work nice. They're hydraulic, and they safely bring the scooter to a stop. You can also swap out the brake pads right here really quickly, so I do appreciate that. One little side note, these discs, these brake discs, they're just also Chinesium metal, so when you are changing the tire on your rim or any other situation where you're working here, it's always good just to take these off, because the moment you have the slightest bend in them, you're just gonna get that famous ding 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 sound, and you want to avoid that by having good straight rotors on your scooter. And these ones here, they're not the best. If you slam on the brakes really hard, especially on the front one, you could have the situation where they can warp. So it's definitely something that you may want to upgrade, put some better discs on here. So I feel like I've talked enough about the scooter, and before we go on the ride, I'll show you right here. We've got 2 charging ports. It takes about 8 to 10 hours to charge fully, and I appreciate that you can cover those up, and it gives you a little waterproofing, I suppose. But yeah, we've chatted about this scooter for a long time now, and I think it's time to take it for a spin. We're gonna go out to the Elwha River, hopefully, we'll see. And it's about 10 kilometers away. Good opportunity to show you how fast it can go, how it handles on the trails, how it handles in the city on the roads with traffic. It's like 3 in the afternoon now, rush hour, so it'll be a fun ride. So let's get strapped up here with the helmet and get going. Alright, we got the helmet on, our safety gear. Always so important before you ride. So let's get going here. Gonna start off in cool single motor drive. Let's do a little top speed run and see how fast the scooter can go. I got it in double gear 3. We hit 80 kilometers now with the tires. Nice, it's empty. still showing full battery, guys. Nice little river right there. And we did about 15 kilometers already, so. Dry Creek. garage somewhere. Alright guys, I'm gonna hang out here for a little bit, charge the camera, take some photos, and join me on the ride back. Look how peaceful and serene it is here. I really like coming here. So we did about 20 kilometers now on this trip, and the battery is still showing full, 61.4 volts. I think that's very impressive. Now, is this the best scooter out there that you can get? Probably not. It doesn't come with the flashy lights and the remote. And it also lacks some other features like GPS tracking, perhaps with an app. But you can just get an AirTag and put it inside the deck yourself, right? Solves that problem. I also wish that the scooter had a fender in the front, which this does not catch the moisture on the road, unfortunately. And you constantly are having to clean the springs and just up in here, which is a bit annoying. And it would also be so cool to have a removable battery here in the deck. I don't think that would have been too hard to accomplish. Just so you can have an extra battery in your backpack and just double the range. How nice would that be? It would definitely open the range of possibilities for the scooter. Just kind of take it to a whole nother level. But other than that, it's a great ride. And in this category of scooters, most certainly the best bang for your buck that you can get. Not to mention, it's a lot of fun. And you're gonna get endless hours of fun riding time in it. So, I'm gonna get my helmet back on. I got the camera charged up. And take you on the ride back. Alright, I'm all geared up and ready to go. No, you didn't think we were gonna come here and not do a full speed run on this track. I suppose this used to be a railroad bridge. Can't tell for sure. way. And now we're gonna go back on this trail that we'll back up again. There are not a lot of ways in and out of the city here. Let's go behind the airport. Check out what's going on there. So as you can see, it does really nice on the trail. All these blossoms here, they're so nice. These curves are so small here. No problem. And it's so steep here. Excuse me. You guys doing okay?
Doing alright.
Awesome, man. Just hanging out here?
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's fucking dope though.
Oh, it's a lot of fun, dude.
Heck yeah, I bet.
You guys take care, okay?
You too, bro.
All right. Don't do drugs and hang out in weird spots, kids. See how quickly we got up that hill? What do we got here? 4th Street. .2 volts, 3 bars out of 5. And 35 kilometers. So that's the status here. The camera is still rolling, so yeah, that's a cool scooter, dude, ain't it? Just looking like crazy. Off we go. To the Olympic National Park real quick. Let's go check it out. Always be careful on gravel, guys, especially in turns. That was almost happened. I feel extremely blessed to have this in my backyard. Drive up on the road, or you can start hiking right here. The scooter is not allowed here though, I will get yelled at. We've had the speed and all the stopping and going. Such a nice day in the city today. Should we check out the skate park? Maybe we can do a track there. Maybe two. But what a fun ride. Oh yeah. Still gonna make it though. Still reading 17. Whoops. Always wear your gear, guys. No matter how slow you go. Alright. battery's getting low. So I guess it's almost turned into a range test too. Not bad. I will let money on that. Still giving me about 50 going uphill. I have no idea what the cutoff value is voltage on the scooter. Oh, that's undercover. Got distracted by him. So, that was a fun ride. We got 52 volts left, 2 bars, and 46 kilometers. That's not bad, very impressive. I could probably get another 5 kilometers out of it if I ride it modestly. So, yeah, that was a fun little review, fun little cruise, showing you all the situations of the scooter, showing you everything that it's got in all the situations. And thank you for joining me. Thank you for coming along and watching. Make sure you like and subscribe if you have any questions about the scooter. I'll be more than happy to answer them. And make sure to find my Instagram too. Go follow that. And if you happen to be in the Port Angeles city or somewhere else in the peninsula, hit me up. Maybe we need to start a little scooter gang around here because I have not seen any other scooter riders around here. So, thanks for watching. See you soon.